So Dexy, how's the cosplay coming along?
It's done.
It's done?
I finished. Well, yeah, we finished it.
Finished it? Oh, that's awesome. What else have we finished?
Attack on Titan.
Finally, all of them.
Well, I mean, for you, it's not really a finally. For me, I finally read all 34 books.
Hey, I watched all 4 episodes or all 4 seasons.
I watched only 4 episodes, but I know like everything for some reason. Yeah, but like you can say it past my bedtime and watch it, so that's not fair.
It's true.
I
There are
get,
perks about being, the dad.
and I went to school, so I got to read like 15 minutes of that a day.
But yeah, we have completed it. So this is probably going to be one of our podcasts, I guess you could say, of colossal proportions.
Bro, dad jokes. Oh my god.
It's a titan of an episode.
Stop saying that. It's quite the beast.
Mm-hmm.
God, now it's
Quite
spreading
the
to
jaw
me.
titan.
What?
No, that doesn't really work.
No.
Let's get going.
Hey, we got a tale to tell where two hearts collide. In this anime spell, father and daughter sharing dreams in the world of Venga. Nothing's as it seems. We've had a half in this journey, side by side, laughs and adventures we won't hide. Join the ride in this anime tonight. We found a half shiny ride.
Quick thing, we're on this episode, we are going to be talking about Attack on Titan, all the good, the bad, and controversial, and everything else in between. It's be the biggest episode we have, but before we jump into that, you watch or read anything new?
Well, I read the last 2 books to Attack on Titan, finished it, and I've read like 1.5 books to Death Note.
Yeah?
It's awesome.
You like it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm glad I found that.
Yeah. I'm not glad that Light overthinks literally every small decision. Even just eating potato chips. He's like, I'm gonna take a potato chip and I'm gonna eat it. Which is like, in anime, you just like watch people eating. You don't like hear them say that they're gonna eat it,
Well, in the anime, he there's a lot of inner monologue that he talks to himself in, though. So,
Is he
like,
okay?
like with him talking about, how he's going to eat the potato chips. So when they're watching him, because that's what you're talking about, right? When they've got the whole
Yeah, when
house under surveillance.
I believe so. I mean, he was writing, but he was also typing on a calculator,
Yeah.
but he was eating potato chips.
Yeah. No, that's what I was thinking of. Anything else? You watch anything or?
More live action One Piece. Don't know if that counts, but
Well, I've actually got a lot of new stuff because I've got a bunch of manga. So I've been reading this one called 2.5 something or another. And it's about a guy or this boy who's all into manga and doesn't want like 3D girls. He only likes 2D girls. And there's this one that he's just totally obsessed with. And then a girl joins his manga club and she wants to cosplay and she cosplays as like his favorite character and he starts falling in love. And there's a girl that comes in that's trying to get him to pay attention to her. And I'm only on like the second book and it's drivel. It's mindless. There's nothing super
Really?
exciting about it, but
Mhm.
I mean, it's just something to read. And I also started watching, I've been watching some more Tokyo Ghoul,
Mhm.
but I've also started Goblin Slayer, which is good except for
That one episode.
well, those few parts. And if you've ever seen Goblin Slayer, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Because it's the ones that really kind of prevent you from recommending it to other people because you're like, this might be a little rough.
Mm-hmm.
But storyline's fun. I mean, it's good,
Mhm.
but there's that. And I guess this isn't really watching or reading anything, but you did get me that Evangelion model that came in today. And when I open a box to a model or a puzzle, the line on the spectrum for me ticks a little bit closer to atypical. So,
What does that mean?
well, like for autism,
Oh.
on the spectrum, and like you just like focus in and just
Can't stop.
obsess and don't like literally neglect everything else because I'm just like hyper focused.
Yeah, you're like, okay, we'll start the podcast in like 5 minutes. Like 20 minutes later, I'm like, Dad.
I know. I literally finally I got the head together and I was like, I just will not start the leg until we got this.
So far, it looks like a spine attached to a head, which looks like the thing that came out of Aaron's body, but
Yeah, I'll probably finish that later tonight. And we are going to have an episode over it, but we did go to the Animanga convention and that was pretty fun.
got lots of free stuff. I got like 2 handfuls of pins and put them all on a jean jacket. And now I have 42 pins on a jean jacket.
Yeah, and I made some contacts, so like I said, I'll probably be talking about that more in the other episode. But it was a fun time. It seemed like the crafts and stuff they didn't have as much,
But they had people doing like bigger trivia than last time.
Yeah, but there was like the trivia and all that. When I remember the first time we went, it was just somebody with Crunchyroll and a like little spinny wheel, and they would
play an episode of anime.
Yeah, it's gotten
bigger.
Yeah. It's gotten a lot bigger than the first time we went.
I mean, I feel like it's like the area of space is smaller. There was less people this year than last year. Last year it was like packed. And it's all in like one room now. But they did have really fun trivia. Didn't we get the highest score?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
You say we, it was really you because
I'm the one who listens to the anime intros. You press skip.
Yep.
Monster.
And also when it's a bunch of
modern anime.
Modern new anime but also it's aimed more toward kids too. So even the newer ones with mine, like, they're not going to have Dan to Dan or Tokyo Ghoul or anything like that on there because it is more towards younger kids.
But when I think of like anime intros, there's certain anime intros that like I do know. They just didn't play it because it's not kids anime.
Well, we might as well jump into this because we have a lot to go over. And so I'm guessing if you listen to this, you probably are aware of Attack on Titan. But if you aren't, then just a little rundown of what it is. There is a city and there's all these walls to keep out these Titans. And then one day one of the walls get broken and they
kind of flood in and they have to go into the second wall. What was it? Rose, right?
Yeah.
Because Wall Mira broke.
Yep. Then they create a bunch. Well, I guess they didn't create, but they start fighting back. Yeah, when they're fighting the first ones, Eren gets 8.
Yeah, because Armin almost got 8, so he pulled Armin out and pushed himself in.
Yeah, but while he's inside the Titan, he turns into the Attack Titan, which at the time they didn't realize they had names or anything.
Yeah, there's like 9 of them.
They realize he can turn into a Titan, and then as the show progresses, you realize that there's a whole reason on why they're Titans and how they become Titans, and all the cities and stuff outside the walls and across the ocean.
Armin, across the sea is our enemies. That one line, bro.
Just some of the key moments, like in the anime, and like if the manga's any different, just let me know. But like when they finally go back to Eren's house when he grows up and they get into the basement and realize that
it cuts to a whole friggin' backstory full of agony and pain.
Yep, you find out that pretty much the Eldian and Marlians and the Eldians were apparently had created Titans.
Well, Ymir created Titans.
Well, yes, but I mean they were the ones who they were responsible for the Titans, but then the king decided that they were going to, I guess, kind of repent for what they did, and they were in the wall.
And all their cities. All their memories got erased, though, so they had like no memory of the fact that they were the island devils. Like they didn't know anything because their memory was erased, so they didn't know that they were in the wrong at all, and they were living perfectly normal lives, unless the Titans breach the wall again.
It goes through, and then finally Eren, who turned into the Attack Titan, decides that he's going to start what they call the Rumbling, which is pretty much all the walls that conceal Titans. They start walking and
well, it's not that they start. The walls don't walk, guys. The walls are made up of Titans using this hardening power to like make the walls, and then it was just a bunch of colossal Titans. the walls don't walk.
Yeah.
So the wall just turned into colossal titans and started like flattening the earth.
And killed 80% of the population.
Yeah, he committed genocide, guys.
And we will get into that a little bit later. But there are some big scenes that I figure we'd kind of point out. Like, how'd you feel when, and also, spoiler alert, this episode's just going to be full of spoilers because the show stopped in like 2001. So,
2001?
2021.
Yeah.
So, if you want to go back and watch all this before listening to the episode, probably be better. Yeah, this is just your spoiler alert for all the spoilers for the rest of the episode.
It's just gonna be full of it. Deaths.
Yeah, like when Sasha died.
I wanted to grab Gabby and throw her out a window, but I couldn't do that because it was a library book.
Yeah, it was very, like, it's one of those scenes when it happens, it's just kind of like, wait, what? Like, unceremoniously just
kills her, you know?
Yeah.
Because, like, some of the deaths are like, okay, I feel like this character's gonna die doing this, you know? It's like, okay, how do you say his name again? The commander?
Irvin?
Yeah, Irvin. Yeah, funny thing, since I think it's German, right?
Yeah.
They say the names differently because within their way they're spelled. Because in English, to me, it's Jean, but to him, it's like what?
Jean.
Yeah, we have Gabby and...
It's Gabby.
I mean, it's Gabby.
Irvin and Amir.
I mean, I started saying Amir too because I didn't know how to say it anyways. I was like, okay, Gabby is a bit, you know, full of herself. And then, like, I already didn't like her that much. And then she killed Sasha. And then I didn't like her at all.
But what about her redemption arc?
Okay, I didn't know exactly what point in time that was during the show. But, well, during the manga, I guess. But, yeah, by the end, she's pretty cool.
Yeah, she helps Mikasa take out Eren.
She shoots down that one. The horse, the Jean looking thing.
Oh, the Okapi?
Yeah.
Is it an Okapi? Yeah, because she's like that ugly horse thing, and they're like,
yeah, and they're like the pig.
Yeah,
and they're like, what? And it's like the beast. Or wait, no, is that a cart?
Okapi. That was an Okapi.
It's like, is it a beast? Or no, maybe it's the cart, or is that the jaw? And it's like, what is it?
The horse one running away.
The one that looks like Jean. Catch it.
And what about Eren? He goes from being kind of the hero to, is he an anti-hero? Is he a villain? Is he an all-around?
So my thing is, he did that to protect his friends, right? But then again, they try to stop him, and he ends up, like, fighting Armin when he's in his colossal form. So, like, I don't know if you saw that. Or yeah. So, like, he ends up, like, end up fighting his friends, and it's like, what are you trying to do here? And I got, like, so confused. And also Mikasa kept saying, we can just talk to him. Sweetheart, no, you can't. It's gonna eat you.
I have my scarf.
Yeah, my scarf can fix it. No, it can't. It's a piece of fabric. So, Armin, what about my seashell? No. Yeah, I was pretty angry whenever he started talking back to Mikasa and whenever he attacked Armin. But when he died, I was pretty sad. I mean, why shouldn't I be? It's Eren, he's, the main character.
Just some of the themes on the show, like they had, like the freedom versus fate. Like Eren is always talking about how he's free, but then when he starts doing all the flashbacks to everyone, it's like, was he ever actually free, or was he a prisoner of his own fate? Like he knew it was going to happen.
And he's always like, I hate people that aren't free, Mikasa. And he's like being all mean to her. But then I'm like, remember season 1 when you were kidnapped like 5 times? Who's not free now?
Yeah, and especially with Eren, like he always, I was just trying to free my people. Is he really that big on freedom if he's, killing all these other people? Eren's speech with Falco. Do you remember that when he's...
The one when he's talking to Rainier and Falco's there?
Well, it's in one of the flashbacks, and he's talking to Falco,
I remember the one where he's sitting on the bench in Marley when he said that he was injured, but he like just cut off his leg himself. And I remember him delivering the letters. When was the speech?
Right before he got Falco to kind of like betray people for him. Well, I know because he was getting him to send the letters out or whatever, but it's like the last time when they spoke. Another theme that was kind of with this, that was big amongst this is not just like war, but like the cycle of violence.
Mm-hmm.
Because in it you have Marley and Eldia, and
Well, the Eldians, I mean, I guess it's the island that they're on, right?
yeah, well, they're still referred to as the Eldians. They are, each side look at each other as the bad guy, which in war, that's totally normal because whichever side you're on, you're not the bad guy. So the Eldians, which, had destroyed so much in the past, and then the Marlians were like, well, you'll never be able to live it down. And not only that, they, like the indoctrination of the other Eldians, like Gabi and Rainier.
Oh, they're the good Eldians, Dad. The honorary Marlians.
Yeah, but, they're literally
Eldians with an armband.
Yeah, and they're brought up to believe that, they are still paying for the sins of their father type thing. And, the generational trauma, it's all like, even though for hundreds of years you've practically been slaves to us, you still haven't repaid the debt, or, you will never be able to repay what you did evil wise.
I remember a scene when Gabi was talking to, what's her name, Kaya?
Okay.
Yeah, Kaya. And she was, and Gabi was yelling at her, and she's like, okay, but what did my mom do? What did I do? Because she was talking about why her mom deserved to be eaten by the Titan. And, well, Sasha ended up saving Kaya, but she was still like, what did I do? What did my mom do? And Gabby's like, you guys have Ymir's blood in you guys. Y'all are the bad guys. Y'all are devils. And it's like, I'm with Kaya on this. What did she do? Specifically her.
Yeah. Well,
like, they didn't do anything.
Well, and that's the big thing, too, especially with, you talk about, like, the real-world parallels with this show is lots of World War II stuff and fascism and all that, because you have the Eldians, which mimic the whole Jewish people, during World War II. The Germans.
I thought Eldians were German.
Well, that's the thing. There was German Jews.
Oh.
And then there were the non-Jews. So they were a lot of them. I mean, most of the Jews that were killed during the Holocaust were German. But it's the same premise. It's you did something, and there's a whole premise. I mean, if you want to get into like the whole Nazism thing with, well, the Jews are the reason why the country was in the state that it was in, because they had taken all the money and left the normal Germans poor. And that was Hitler's final solution was, well, we got to kill all the Jews, or at least stop all the Jews. Even too, like when Zeke is talking about the euthanizing, like making all the men sterile so they slowly die out.
Yeah.
That is literally one of the plans that they had for the Jews in World War II.
And how would they do that?
Well, it's like vasectomies where you can't have where the men can't have babies. And what would happen if you can't have babies? Everyone slowly starts to die off. They get old, they die. There's no more young kids. The only problem with that was certain Nazis felt that it was going to take too long.
Yeah.
And that's how we get concentration camps and the ovens and the gas chambers and everything. As far as the differences between the anime and manga, I mean, Mappa is the ones who did, or Mappa, I don't really know.
Mappa. I thought it was Mappa Studios.
Yeah, they're the ones who did it, and the fight scenes, all that.
The one where Levi is going after Kenny, and they're like running through town. It's so nice.
Yeah, there's some really good
because when he's like
animation.
Zooming across it's like the way it shows him like sliding on the buildings too. It's really cool.
And then there's Hiroyuki Sawano's the score. He's the one who did most of the music, because that is a big thing in Attack on Titan. Is the score is really, really nice. Like, it's one of the few anime that I can actually just like do Attack on Titan soundtrack and enjoy it.
I mean, Atticus enjoys it.
Yeah, he's still asking. And then you have the other good songs they have on there, like The Rumbling by Sim and all those.
I don't think I know that one, but yeah.
And I feel like the voice acting was really good in the anime, which you don't have that in the manga. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I always pictured Levi. As a joke to myself, I pictured him having a really puny, childish voice. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because he's short, but like, and then I was like, nah, I probably have a deeper voice because he's like a grown man.
it's kind of weird since we both have a different angle on this. I guess we can't really,
Relate to each other.
do a point counterpoint on this. But apparently, the pacing for the ending in the manga was a lot better than the pacing for the ending in the anime, because in the anime it felt rushed. Like it was building and then all of a sudden, oh, we got to get all this knocked out. And like I felt like they pushed a bunch of stuff into a small amount in the anime.
Because in the manga, whenever they're like, okay, we got to get this plane up and running in half a day, it cut between different people's perspectives of it, I feel like. Like it showed like Armin and Annie talking, but then again, there was Mikasa and them like helping. But then there's Gabby and Falco talking. And when it cuts between that, I can't quite tell the time, you know? I mean, also it depends on how quickly I read it, I guess, too. But it definitely did feel a bit shorter than how I guess I would have like expected it to be, considering that it was half a day. But considering how long the battles go, yeah. But the one when there's all the 9 Titans over the time, you know? When they're fighting all of those, I feel like it was a bit quick. It happened within like 3/4 of a manga. The last one was a bit longer. It was 250 pages, considering the normal one's 179. So yeah, it was a bit longer, but still.
And in the manga, do they have a lot more like inner dialogue, like people thinking stuff or
Those are, I guess that would be the squares.
yeah, because there's not a lot in the anime. Like
Eren talks to himself in his head a lot, and Mikasa overthinks things a lot. And Armin's all like, Eren wouldn't do this. I'm such a bad commander. And so, yeah, you do get a lot of people talking to each other. It's just, well, not like talking in their heads, you know? I hate, well, you know when I said how I'm like, Hanji yaps on and on, you're like, well, she won't be doing that for long. She's burnt to a crisp. No capes.
See, one thing that I'm kind of confused about, because when I was doing a little bit for the show and I was looking it up, and it was talking about how in the anime it just showed the tree. And in the manga it shows the boy and his dog, but I don't know if they went back and changed it or if it was just a different like special they did for Crunchyroll. But the one I watched, yeah, there was a boy and his dog that sees the tree at the end.
Did you say that you didn't see, because what I saw was like over time, like it turned like more modern with the like more modern looking buildings behind it, and then you see the boy and his dog. Did you see that too?
I think that's how it went. I just, for some reason I was thinking.
I mean, you watched it twice.
Yeah, but it was also close to the end both times, so I was like getting tired. I don't know if it was just showing him like out in the woods coming across it, or if it did actually show like, because it did show that it was like time passing.
Yeah, because I didn't see the boy go in.
Well, I don't think he goes in at the end of what I saw either. It was just like he sees it and he's looking at it, you know.
Imagine him and his dog fall in and he becomes the Colossal and his dog becomes the Beast.
Well, that's kind of the whole thing. Like, with Ymir, like, she fell in, kind of
right?
do, yeah.
Because she got shot and like...
She was running and she was just trying to find a way of getting away. And
I'm so confused about her, though. Like, it gives an explanation on, like, who she was, where she was, what was happening. Just none of it really makes sense. And I just, like, in the manga, they didn't spend a lot of time on her. Like,
well, apparently...
You hear a lot about her when they're at the tree, you know, and, like, she's building Zeke's legs after they get cut off. But whenever you hear the part of him, like, her being the slave and, like, her letting the pig loose... I couldn't quite tell what was really going on, because he's like, my slave, and it's like, wait, are those her children?
Yeah.
And she's like, I hate him, but I love him.
Yeah.
What is going on?
Because she was a slave, and then they went to kill her, and then she became the founding Titan.
It's because she let the pig out, right? Like-
Yeah, and they left her for dead, but she got that centipede thing and became the first Titan. And then they were using her to win battles, and
And
the
then
king
the-
took her as like the queen, but
And they had 3 children, right? It was
Mhm.
Sheena, Rose, and Mira, the name of the walls, and then the kids like ate her. That was a really disturbing picture. I don't know if it showed like
no, they
with the kids like eating
after
it.
she was she died, and when
So-
when she died, they were like, well, you've got to
Eat her. I was at school actually, and I was about to finish that book, and so I finished it, and I had brought the other one with me, so I opened it, and my friend Jaden was like, "Hey, can I look through that?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, bro." And he opens it, it's like cannibalism, and I was like, "Oh yeah, those kids are eating her," and they're like, "Why?" And I was like, "It's a long story, man."
because they had, I forget the term he used, but it was like to keep the bloodline or whatever,
Mhm.
and that's why they had like, I guess you could kind of say the royal bloodline, which
Mhm.
they were the ones who
That was
Apparently
Fritz
those were
or
the-
Reese.
Hmm?
Fritz. It was Fritz, right? Not Reese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was the kind of I think it was the premise at that point was if you could only be the founding Titan if you were of royal blood.
Mhm.
Like you had to be a direct descendant of Ymir in order to become the founding Titan. But because the guy that Aaron's dad met and gave him the founding Titan.
Wait. You mean the other Aaron? Like Aaron Kruger? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that how you say his last name? Kruger?
Yeah. Kruger. That's how Aaron was able to get the founding Titan,
Mhm.
which I guess we could kind of break that down real quick because there's,
All the do you need to name the Titans?
I was
or-
about to say, go for it.
I remember them all. There's the founding Titan. Aaron has that one. Try to go like what character has them by the end or
If you want.
so Aaron has the founding Titan.
Well, he kind of has a lot of them.
Yeah, he's got the Attack the Founder and the Warhammer. There's the Colossal, which Armin has. There's the Jaw, Falco, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we have Zeke had the Beast by the end. Annie had female. Rainier had armor. And I don't know I can't remember how do you pronounce her name? Cart Titan.
Oh,
It's spelled P-I-E-C-K.
yeah, like Petra, I guess.
No, Petra's.
Peter. Or no, you're
No.
thinking of Pike.
Yeah, Pike. I didn't know how to say it. Petra, where'd
Pike,
you get
yeah,
Petra from?
sorry,
She
yeah,
died
no.
like 8 years ago.
Yeah, but no, it was Pike.
Yeah, and that's all 9 Titans. And by the end, during the big final battle, there's like over time all the different ones that have inherited it and they look different, and there's like every single one of them. Amir was there too, like not the god Amir, but the girl that
because-
liked Krista.
Yeah, because the founding Titan can bring back, manifest all of them. And
Whatever happened to her? Like she got kidnapped by Rainier and Bertold, and that was kind of like the last I heard. Did they kill her?
yeah, I don't remember, honestly.
I
I mean,
don't-
there's a lot going on in that. so-
Yeah, I know, like, because she wrote a letter to Historia when she was queen and was like, "Hey, girly," but then I don't know what happened to her after that.
Yeah, like you said, they take on different ones, but also I guess technically by the end of no one's a Titan
Mhm.
because they all lose.
Well, the
their-
ones who last had the power. Power, yeah.
Yeah, because after that thing sprayed that gas or whatever, all of them kind of became Titans for
Yeah.
a minute.
I think that if I were going up against Titans, the ones I would be most scared of, like completely horrified. I don't know if it's just the manga that makes them look scary, but the Warhammer Titans, they're so tall and skinny, and they've got those like pitchfork things,
Mm-hmm.
and just like the way that like the way the skin kind of covers their face and it looks kind of weird. It like horrifies me.
Yeah, they are the scarier of like all of them.
I mean, like the other ones are just weird and like ew, like those are gross. Like that one's like, oh dear lord, that could be a giant thing that could like crush me. I mean, they could.
My question too, like for the longest time before they realized kind of what was happening, all of Aaron's friends were helping him get to the point of the rumbling almost.
Mhm.
Did they not realize what they were doing?
Probably not.
I mean, because I know there were the Jaegerists who, well,
I had to
that was the whole thing. They were trying to.
get Zeke and him to have a connection.
Yeah.
At school, also, when I opened up the book, he was like, "What are the Jaegerists? Is that like Aaron Yeager?" I was like, "Dude, read all other 31 books, and then if you still don't know, I'll explain it to you. Like, you can't open up on book 32 and ask me who that is.
Another quick question. It's like, what about all of Rainier's breakdowns? Because he had a lot.
So did Connie and Jean, I feel like. Like, Armin had those moments where they're like, I'm not good at all. And then Mikasa's like, does Aaron hate me? But then Connie is like, Sonny, Martin, Mom, Dad. And Jean's like, I just want a peaceful life in the capital and drink wine with pretty girls. But then, yeah, Rainier did, now that I think about it, he did have a lot of breakdowns.
Yeah. I mean, and even Connie
Lots
was
of
all
crash
like,
outs.
even Connie was like, hey, I'm going to feed this kid to
My
this-
mom.
Yeah, so she can become the Jaw Titan.
And then we'll live happily ever after, of course.
Mm-hmm. And we talked about this a little bit earlier because after the rumbling starts, there's very little of Historia, who's the current bloodline and the queen of.
She's irrelevant, Dad. They gotta save Marley from being crushed, man.
Yeah, I know,
They
but it
didn't
was just kind of like she there for a minute, like they were like, oh, well, when the military overthrew the king.
Fritz, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
143rd or 5th, right?
Yeah, like they overthrew him and then they put
They kind of kicked him out. They
Historia.
kind of kicked him out the chair and kind of set her in it.
Yeah, and it was like
And she was the hero.
Nothing really came of that.
I mean, besides the part when they're like, "Oh, we can turn her into a Titan," so they told her that she needed to have a child or get pregnant. That's why they couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And then she had a daughter who's really stinking adorable. Yeah, because in the end, it just shows a picture of her with her daughter. I didn't really see anything after that.
Flock. Let's just bring up Flock.
Gabby managed to shoot him. Shot him and he just died. Right? She shot him in the water when he tried to get on the boat.
Well, I thought he was in the boat. Like, didn't no, he was.
He was trying to get to the flying plane. Well, the flying boat. I mean, and well,
Wasn't it? Am I mistaken? Wasn't
Because
it Flock who shot the plane and put the holes in it? It was one of the
thought-
Jaegerists.
I could have swore. Hold on, wait. He clung onto the plane when they were leaving, and he had been like clung onto the boat the entire time. When they got there, they pulled him out of the water, and he shot holes in the like the engine, or no, like the tank,
The
in
fuel
it,
tank,
the fuel
yeah.
tank, and they had to like fix it. And they're like, okay, another hour until then,
Mm-hmm.
because Gabby shot him. He fell in the water, clung to the boat, and stayed on.
Yeah, no, he was just like crazy.
He
became
was
a
that.
complete fanatic.
Like, I was like, okay, dude, like, stop trying. And then I'm like, he just doesn't give up. How is he still alive?
Okay, and maybe you have a better grasp than I do because the anime, it got kind of confusing because
Kind of blurry.
the flashbacks, it was kind of like it was time travel, but it wasn't because, I mean,
There was the part whenever, me-
Aaron talked to all those people and then he even like, mentioned at the end, it's all like, well, I'm going to unerase your memories because it was like he had talked to them throughout the years about all this.
when he was talking to,
Armin and
Yeah, whenever-
Mikasa and I mean all
I
those
didn't
even
remember,
when
I don't think we got one of Mikasa.
yeah, in the anime, I mean it's when they were real little, like when he first like gave her the scarf. And
I think there was a
everything.
short one, but for Armin's, I think it lasted longer.
Yeah, no, Armin's was a long one, but
Yeah, because it was when they were little kids, and then it went till now, and he's like, I'm gonna have to like erase the memories, but like probably remember later, or something like that. And
Yeah.
they had a nice warm buddy hug, the nice warm bro hug, and then yeah,
I mean because it was weird because like was it just flashbacks or was it kind of like
because it looked
time skipping because it was like he remembered all the what was it like he referred to it as like memories from the future.
yeah, and he was
So
talking
it's like
about
did
it.
he when
I got
that
confused, too.
happened past him get all that information too, so like he had actually told them stuff
Mhm.
that he knew because when all the memories flooded in from before it was all like, so did past him have these memories now since that did it got kind of confusing.
Yeah.
But it was
I think he got
interesting.
most of the memories about the rumbling whenever he kissed Historia's hand, because he came in contact with someone from the royal bloodline, right? Oh my god, I really I really like the part whenever he was talking to Historia after her dad died. He's like, it's not your fault, my family's dead. But then it shows in the later part whenever he's talking to his dad, and he's all like, kill them. And I'm like, oh, so it is kind of. He's like, oh, it's fine. I know it's not my fault. It is your fault though. You told like your dad wasn't gonna kill the children or anything. He was just gonna kill the dad, right? And then he's like, kill them all. And now they're
Hmm.
all dead. So, it is your fault, Aaron. You just didn't know it yet.
Yeah, and with that, I mean, with the time
That's
shifting thing,
confusing. It's like,
because
dude, that's your son. You can tell, right?
like even when they first showed up in Marley,
Hmm.
and Aaron saves the little pickpocket boy,
Yeah.
that
Well,
was
and
a
they took I thought it was Levi that caught him after he took the Sasha's money, right? In the manga, we had
yeah. Well,
Levi.
and that was the thing. Well, I thought it was pretty much
Because it was that, and then the kid was getting beat up by some guys. And then it cuts to where the kid was talking to, like, one of his siblings, I guess, and they was talking about his hidden stash of money because they
yeah,
were gonna run away and live a happy life.
yeah, and then
The rumbling started and killed his sibling, and he's like, "No, the money!" And he goes to run and get it, and, like, they get crushed.
mhm.
The scene where the kid's laying on the ground with his head, like, it's like a big slant in it from where a rock hit, that was really disturbing.
Yeah, that was and that was kind of the point there where you realized the extent of what all was happening.
Yeah, like in other mangas, it's like, "Oh no, we're being crushed to death," and you see a little splatter of blood. Nope, that's a brain. When they get crushed and they lift up, and it's just a little imprint of them on the ground, was just like, ugh.
Your favorite Titan shifter?
I'm trying to think. Does it matter if it doesn't matter if they're dead or not, does it? I guess.
No, if
No.
I mean Fryer or whatever.
It's not Rainier. It's not Aaron. Do you have one?
I mean, I thought Falco's bird was kind of cool. Like
Yeah.
it came in pretty handy, but
Falco the Falcon. Caca. That's pretty
but
funny.
one, I mean, just the Titan in general. The cart Titan was just weird.
I didn't really know hardly anything about the Warhammer Titan. Like, there was a lady, and I was like, oh, there's a lady in a fancy dress down there. And then it's like, she didn't have a name, did she?
I don't even remember. Like I just
Warhammer
know.
Titan. And then, because, like, right after we meet her, she's, like, encased in that, like, crystal thing, and then they use a Jaw Titan to, like, crush her, and then, like, he eats her. And honestly, the part when Aaron went to bite her and all his teeth fell out and, like, started bleeding, like, that's how it feels to bite on a lollipop that's too stiff. But yeah, I didn't really like her in general. She looked kind of weird. Armin didn't use his Titan powers that much in the manga.
Well, I thought he just did it at the very end. Well,
Because
he
he
fought
acts, yeah.
what's his name, and then yeah, he ends up exploding at the end.
Well,
Stop.
he's not dead, guys. He just, like, the blast from his transforming. Honestly, probably Annie, even though I didn't know, like, at the very end, they were saying if you eat other Titans, you can get, like, parts of the Titan that you can use. And I was like, she can do that?
Yeah, out of all the weird, and out of all of them, like the fact that there was just like there's like the Warhammer and the attack
And
and
the
the
armor and the
beast.
beast.
The
And
beast was funny looking. I'm not
It
gonna lie,
looked
just
like- it
throwing
look-
rocks.
it looked like a monkey throwing rocks and sticks, guys.
Yeah.
That's literally all it was.
But then there was the female Titan.
It's just called a female Titan because it looks like it has a chest.
Yeah, it's like it has more boobs than the others. So
Yeah.
it's the female Titan.
Because, like, we have the armor Titan having armor, the Colossal Titan being, like, over 60 meters high, so he's colossal. The Jaw Titan, well, having a really strong jaw. And the female Titan.
Which is also weird, like Falco's Jaw Titan. It looks more like a beast Titan.
It looks like a... Well, is it a beast or... No, maybe it's a jaw? Or is that a cart? I can't tell. Which one is it? Yeah, when Mikasa and Annie were yelling, it's like, which one has Armin? That one, which one is it?
The rumbling.
Mm-hmm.
Did Aaron go too far?
I thought that all he said he was going to do was that one district, Shiganshina district or whatever.
Mhm.
Because originally I thought he said that's the only thing they were going to do a small, like even Hanji said this, they were thinking about just doing a small version of the rumbling to like, so that way at least they'd leave him alone for 50 years. But then all the walls turned into Titans. And my thing is, if all the walls turn into Titans and start walking, doesn't that mean that everything except everything inside of Washina gets crushed? Because if
Yeah.
they're walking outwards, that's crushing.
Mhm.
If there's 3 walls and there's 2 of them are inside of each other, that's crushing some of the stuff inside too, right?
Mhm.
I
Well,
thought
and-
he said he wanted to protect the Eldians, not
Yeah.
crush them.
Well, that's the other thing too. We didn't even really get into the aspect of how the Marlians were using the serum to create Titans
I mean,
and then
they're
used
the
them
ones.
against. I mean, they're the ones who kind of started it all.
Yeah, they're the ones. They're the Island Devils because, like, yeah, they were Titans, but they hadn't been using them for like 2,000 years. They had been attacked by them, and then we find out that the Marlians are turning people into Titans.
Yeah, because I mean, even the king had used his ability to wipe everyone's mind, so
They didn't know that
they
were.
never know what they had done. They were literally living a peaceful life within the walls, and then the Marlians just decide to attack the walls like it was like, hey, we're going to preemptively strike.
Mhm.
Which, I mean, that's a whole another can of worms too, because they literally weren't doing anything, and then the Marlians are like, well, we're just going to start trying to kill them all,
And my thing
unleashed everything.
with that is once their memories got wiped, they were completely innocent people
Mhm.
because they weren't aware that they could do anything, so they weren't gonna do anything. So really, if the Marlians hadn't done anything to them, they wouldn't know that the Marlians exist, and they'd probably be fine.
And even Aaron mentioned how, they weren't stopping war. That was the whole thing. They were trying to stop war. They just wanted peace, because you had the ones that, yeah, we're going to go into peace talks, and then they showed up and killed a bunch of people. All the other countries outside of Marley, like you had the Japanese countries
That
and like
was
the
what was
African
it,
countries.
Hizuru or something?
Yeah.
The Azubimoto or something like that.
They ended up, it was like, oh, we're going to get peace. We're going to stop war. And really, by the end, it's like, well, we weren't really stopping it. We're just leveling the playing field.
Mhm.
Because there's only Eldians take up 20% of the population, and now there's only 20% of the population left that aren't Marlians.
Yeah, someone drew a picture of them playing like the guessing game where you have the thing on your head,
Mhm.
and where you have like the card and other people will try to give you hints and you gotta guess it. And Aaron was wearing one and it said Hitler and it's like genocide, male. And he's like, me. And it's like close, but no. And then Armin said Bertold and it's like, can I eat it? You have one actually.
Yeah, and there were several controversial themes in the show because, like I mentioned, the correlation between the Eldians and the Jewish people, like even to the point of them having to wear armbands.
Yeah.
Because in World War II, the Jews were made to wear armbands to
Yeah.
identify them as Jews. And the internment zones where they could live, which were just like the ghettos.
And he had to have Falco go outside of it because he couldn't leave it.
Yeah, and the big part was to, like the dehumanization, to where Aaron's dad, they could pretty much like have dogs bite and kill, rip his sister to shreds.
Poor Faye.
And, because they didn't even look at her as human.
Yeah.
She was just...
Because they're like, hey, we're going to talk to your brother. Go ahead, take her home. And the guy goes to take her home and feeds her to dogs further down the river. And the family and Grisha have to apologize to them. And you see, like, in the manga, I don't know if it's different in the anime, but the eyes look like these, like, scribble circles,
Mhm.
Kind of like in Shadow's house when they, like, ate the soot, or, like, the soot went inside of them and their eyes turned to scribbles. But he had, like, these scribbly eyes, and he looked, like, traumatized. I mean, who wouldn't be? And after they left, he was like, why should I have to apologize, Dad? I'm not apologizing to him. He killed Faye. And the dad's like, because if you don't, that would be trouble. Well, they're trouble. He just didn't understand. I'm like, honestly, I'm with Grisha on this one. This one thing, not with him on really anything else. But if you were feeding if you fed Atticus to a dog, I'm not gonna say sorry to you. I'm gonna feed you to a dog.
Yeah, I mean, and when you think about the fact that kind of thing really happened in Nazi Germany, it's kind of crazy. The big controversy too with that is like the idea of the Eldians' original sin. Like Amir don't really even know what that centipede thing was. Like, was it an alien or was it just kind of some kind of mythical thing?
It's the founder.
But it's kind of like the idea that the Jews are inherently evil too, because that is a big thing, not just Germany, but like Eastern Europe, they have this idea that Jewish people are inherently bad, evil people.
So I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So I know she let a singular pig out of a cage and became kind of the bad guy to them for like a short period of time. But my question with it is that, first off, if that pig died, they could just make it into bacon and food. Second off, there was like 3 pigs in there, so if you were gonna worry about pigs, that's your problem, not hers. And 3, I was confused because she like let the pig out as like a very young child and became like the slave, and the age gap between her, and the king was like at least like freaking 30 years. And that's just weird to have like
Yeah.
3 children. But what did she do? Like, I know she became the founder Titan. But was there anything else that she did that made the Eldians bad? Is it just the pig?
Well, that's not just it. It was after the king used the Titans to,
So it's the king's fault.
yeah, but I mean he was still an Eldian.
Yeah, but
But
then
yeah,
Amir
no,
did
they
nothing wrong. She's a slave. She can't do anything about
right.
that.
But yeah, no, he used her to like trample their enemies and killed a bunch of people. So
Yeah.
so that Amir herself,
So
like they look at it as kind of the original sin, like her quote unquote like selling her soul to save her life.
mhm.
But no, the other people utilized her and benefited from it, and then they were a superpower. But then when they realized what they were doing, and then the Marlians started fighting back and everything, and that's when they built the walls
But then
and
having
started the peace. And that was the whole thing. The king at that point was like, we just want to forget, we want peace, we don't want, we realized what we did.
mhm.
We killed a lot of people with the Titans.
But if you have Amir's blood in you, you're not a bad guy really. It's if you're royal blood, then those are the people that are bad, not subjects of Amir.
Yeah, but technically Amir, since she mothered, I was about to say her kids were fathered by the king.
Yeah, I guess they had both,
where
so I guess you can't escape.
Yeah. Even
Who exactly
the
created the
correlation.
walls? Was it Amir that made the walls?
No, it was one of the kings.
Okay, I couldn't remember which one.
Yeah, I don't remember
Because
which
the
one.
walls were named after the children. There was Sheena, Rose, and Mira.
Yeah, I don't know when those walls went up exactly, but it was hundreds of years.
Like over 2,000 years
Yeah.
ago, so.
One of the questions that come up is that some critics argue the narrative turns the persecuted Eldians into weapons of genocide themselves, and it kind of blurs the moral lines in creating an uncomfortable allegory. Like, are the oppressed, were they justified in the mass killing because they had been persecuted for so long and now they have the ability to? And in doing that, with all the oppression that the Eldians faced, did it validate ethnic cleansing? Because you can look at it both ways, but it kind of does. It's like, well, the Eldians weren't doing anything wrong. The Marlians came in, started killing them using their own,
Anti-Eldian gear. But it was based on the equipment that was anti-Titan gear to them, the ODM.
Yeah. But even like, killing Eldians because they were Eldians.
Yeah.
And then when the Eldians finally kind of, with Eren and all the others started fighting back, it's all like, did that make it okay? Because it really shouldn't.
Yeah,
I know it's a little bit more gray than two wrongs don't make a right. But
yeah, I mean, the Marlians, like, what are modern, like, in the past, like, let's say a few years before they attacked, what were the Eldians actively doing to the Marlians to make them attack? It was more of just they're there.
Yeah.
We should go kill them.
Well, it's the whole, oh God, if something happens. It was almost like they were doing it as a preventative measure.
Really, it started things because the Eldians weren't aware of the Marlians. They had no memory of anything outside the walls. They didn't know that they were doing anything wrong at all. I mean,
yeah,
they weren't.
They even tried to point that out, and then when that didn't work, and then you had the fanatics like the Jaegers that come in.
Not the guy's shirt that we saw at the convention, though.
Yeah.
Jaegers for life.
Another, I guess you could say, kind of blemish on the show. Aaron as a fascist icon, like some of the more fascist people, like the Proud Boys, and
I don't know who any of these are.
they're they're not neo-Nazis per se, but they're the ones who, like, when you have like pride parades and protest, they're like, you could kind of consider them like the vigilantes that show up,
What's
that
a
they're not
vigilante?
someone who takes the law into their own hands. They're not actually military, they're not police,
They're just Karens.
but they feel the need to try to control the situation. Because he became so militant in isolation, he became a militant isolationist and like completely radicalized. He is a he's very easy to be a poster boy for these people, because it's all like, well, he did that, but he had to. It was.
Do you remember when they had said that Aaron defeated Marley? And because they had to lie, they had no other choice, and they said Aaron defeated Marley. And they had to lock Aaron up because, he didn't defeat Marley. And, I remember all the Eldians outside the gate and, like, the Jaegers, and they were, like, yelling to let Aaron out because without Aaron, the world couldn't be saved. And I was just like, those poor people have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are all about to be trampled, probably.
And some of the lines that Aaron has used, like, I was born into this world, and like, if we live, or if we win, we live. If we lose, we die.
Yeah, and then so we have to fight, and then he says, like, fight, like, 3 more times. And then Hanju's like, are you talking to yourself in the mirror?
Yeah.
When he picks her up.
Some of the alt-right people have actually, like, co-opted, like, started using those lines for their agenda.
Wait, what?
Like, fascist people in real life have actually started using those lines as kind of like slogans and stuff.
Those lines? Like,
Yeah.
from Attack on Titan?
Yeah. One day you'll realize that there is a whole subgenre of racist, neo-Nazi fascists that are complete nerds that just love anime.
Wait,
That's
are
why
they
if
one
you
of the bad Eldians from Marley? They don't have the right
Oh no,
color
they would be.
armband.
No, they would just be. No, they would never consider themselves Eldians. They are more the pure race of
We're obviously
Marleyans.
Marleyans. We're so
But
awesome.
no, like, you'll see, like, if you, like, especially on Reddit or things like that, and they'll have, like, at protests when they have showed up, like, these guys in, like, they look like military gear. They've got, like, the jackets and the plate armor and, like, the AK-40, or not, they can't carry an SKS, or, a gun. And then, like, they will have, like, a
Like a tag or
little
something?
anime girl, like a little waifu.
On
Like,
pinned to the jacket?
yeah, like on the jacket, or like a pin or a patch, or yeah, it's weird.
Oh. What does their sign say? If we if we don't fight, we
Yeah.
die. If we fight, wait. If we win, we live. If we lose, we die. So we have to fight.
Things like that. So you can also look at it as a cautionary tale. It's just that even after what Aaron did, at least in the anime, they make it seem more sympathetic towards him. They really shouldn't have, because, I mean, regardless of what he did, he killed a lot of people that he didn't have to. Yes, there was a lot of bad things going on, but he didn't have. But, then it falls under the whole, well, it was his fate. And it's like, you still should have showed it in a light that, hey, killing 80% of the world is a bad thing to do.
I mean, like, there was these parts when he's like, I've killed so many children, like, I can't go back. Now, no, but you can't go back, but you can stop. And, like, at least Armin, like, when he was talking to Annie, he was like, I've killed children. I'm a horrible person. It's like, at least you can acknowledge that. Unlike your buddy over here that's about to commit genocide.
Isayama's personal views have been kind of speculative and questioned at times, because he has praised the real-life Japanese soldier Yoshifuru Akiyama, and he's known as the father of the modern Japanese army. And the big part of that is he helped kill a lot of Koreans and tried to, like, colonize Korea. Like, he's not a good person. I mean, the US has their own group of people, like, hey, Andrew Jackson, he was a president and a great general, and he also killed a lot of Indians or Native Americans,
Native Americans, father. Indigenous people. I don't know what to call them
First
anymore.
Peoples. Actually, in Canada, they're called the First Peoples.
Aren't a lot of them from like Southern California? There was a lot.
Canadians?
No. There was a lot when we were in school. If we were learning, the title of it was Indigenous People and Tribes, and I was like, cool.
Well, a lot
Not
of them. I
cool.
mean, Oklahoma.
Yeah, there was a lot of Oklahoma, but then like there was like the
Okay.
Pomo people and a bunch of others.
Arizona, New Mexico,
And a lot of them-
California.
yeah,
that
California.
whole area. Yeah, that's
Because
where
it
a
was
lot
like
of them
along
were
the
pushed.
coast, and like
Yeah.
a lot of them were put into like the places, what I'm talking-
Reservations.
Yeah, and then
Mhm.
like there was that one guy, I forgot his name, but he was just like out there, and he was alone, and he was sad and depressed.
Geronimo?
No, I don't remember
Oh.
his name. It was something short and simple, and I was like, oh, that's
Hmm.
really short. And then I just like forgot his name 2 days later.
A lot of people say that, Isayama, he doesn't criticize militarism enough. Like,
Mm-hmm.
literally
Yeah,
there was
that's
a
kind of Attack on Titan.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the whole thing. There was a whole military coup that overthrew the king, which a monarchy's not great to begin with, but
I mean,
they kind of glorified, because at first when it was happening, I'm like, is this a good thing to be happening? When Irvin was all like, we're taking control,
hmm
which normally military coups like that are not a good thing.
yeah, I mean,
And it's like,
it might
was
have been better for
questionable.
the people. I mean, like,
I mean,
because she
they-
helped all the kids from the underground. They did not explain enough about the underground, if you ask me. And Kenny left too early, and I needed to hear more about Levi's backstory. But there's actually a whole nother series for that. I don't know if it's a manga. I think it was just a book. One Piece has this too, but it's following the female characters and like stories from them specifically. But I know they also had that for Attack on Titan, and it followed like Annie. I don't think there's much of Mikasa, but there was like Annie and like Pike and them.
Mhm.
But then they had one following Levi and Irvin, and it was them when they were soldiers.
Yeah. And just to wrap up the thing with like Isayama, some people don't, I mean, he's never actively come out and said fascism is good or I'm anti-Semitic.
I mean, if he ever came out and said that,
It'd be questionable. I mean, a lot of people just think maybe he wrote a very morally complex story because it is he did questionable things, but was it good? Was it bad? And he leaves some of it to you to decide, and he doesn't actually push an agenda or one way or the other. It kind of
Mhm.
leaves it up to you. And I like that. But some of the stuff that they start talking about at one point with the Eldians, it becomes very, described it as Elders of Zion, which is a fake like thing written about this secret group of Jews that were planning on taking over the world, and it was actually used to help persecute the Jews more.
You know what that sounds like?
Hmm.
The group of Eldians from Marley. Remember the dad and Dina and all the others in the Owl who were planning to overthrow Marley or whatever?
Mhm. Yeah, and
It's literally them.
that's. I'm pretty sure that's kind of what it was.
It's like literally them, guys.
But the only thing is, the Elders of Zion were used to kill and hurt and persecute a lot of Jews when it wasn't even real. It was literally written as something to be anti-Semitic. But with that, we're kind of wrapping up towards the end here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and do the quiz. But do you have something?
It's just one thing about Grisha. I don't know how you say it. I feel like his connection to Zeke though was like very bad, and like, it wasn't good at all. Like he was so hard on the kid. Like that's like a 5-year-old you're talking to. And then whenever he was
Yeah, we didn't even really get into the whole Zeke being Aaron's
Mhm.
half brother. I mean, there's a lot to cover in
Yeah,
all
there is.
in all this, but
and then after Grisha had Aaron, it's like, we had only knew him for a short amount of time before he kind of like disappeared. Wait, where did he go? Did he just like die?
Who?
Grisha? Where'd he go?
yeah, he ended up I thought he ended up dying or getting killed.
I don't remember. He kind of disappeared. Um, and also, just one random, completely random thing. Do you remember how puny everybody looked in like the first episode,
Mm-hmm.
and then how buff Connie was at the end? It's like them all like Connie was a stick figure, and then like I was looking through the profile pictures on Crunchyroll, and I was like, wait, that's Connie, and it's like some really buff dude. I'm like, oh, huh.
All right. Well, we'll be right back after this.
Hey, fellow anime fans, it's Dexy. If you're loving Weeb and a Half and want to help support the show, you should totally check out our Patreon. Not only will you be helping us keep the podcast going, but you'll also get some awesome perks like bonus episodes, access to the Discord, and even a shout out in an episode. Basically, you'll get more anime talk, more laughs, and maybe even more of Dad's terrible takes. Trust me, it's worth it. So if you want to join our little anime family and get some exclusive goodies, head over to patreon.com/weebandahalf and check it out. Thanks for the support, and as always, stay weeby.
All right, we are back, and we're going to do a little short quiz here called Who Said It? Aaron, Armin, or someone just having a breakdown? And
Extra
so,
points if I can guess who.
bonus points if you can name the actual character behind the breakdown quote.
Mhm.
So, round one, the first one is, if I don't fight, I can't win.
Aaron.
That's right. I became a soldier so I could protect people, not kill them.
um, uh,
I would have got this one because I remember he says it a lot.
yeah,
Or I guess you
good
could
for
say he
you.
whines it a lot.
Is it Armin?
Yes.
Yeah, you said whines. I'm like, you call him puny. You say he whines all the time. It's Armin.
In the anime, he whines a lot.
Well, I don't know how he sounds. I don't know if it sounds whiny or not. It just shows like little trembling letters.
Okay, and then why am I the only one who has to remember everything?
It sounds like something Bertolt would say.
Close, but no, it's
Oh,
Rainier.
I thought I said it.
You said Bertolt.
One of them warriors, Rainier. Look, I'm sorry, man. I was like, wait, Bertolt, Rainier. I get them mixed up, okay?
What am I even fighting for anymore?
Aaron?
Nope.
Who?
Jean.
Oh, yeah, because do you remember that time he like walked away and he would always put his hands over his ears because he just didn't want to hear anything? I was like, geez, dude, you good?
I'm the same as you. I used to think the world was simple.
Can I have a hint?
I used to think the world was simple.
Armin.
Yeah. That's not how he said it, but yeah, no, I figured that'd be the hint. And then I will destroy the entire world.
Oh, I don't know what Mika said. No, it's Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
Who else would say something stupid as that?
Okay, and now for the third round here. I don't want to die. Someone help me.
A lot of people don't want to die, Dad.
It's during, I mean, I'll give you this. It's by when somebody was having a breakdown, not just like when a bunch of titans were eating people.
I don't know, but people have breakdowns during that. Remember Marco? Died in like season 1?
Well, think of people who had pretty big breakdowns besides Rainier.
Connie?
No.
wait.
Gabi.
Oh. She had a lot of breakdowns.
She did.
But I feel like they weren't as like extreme as punching Rainier in the face like Jean did.
Mm-hmm.
Because Connie sounds like a person who'd be like, I don't want to die. It's like, well, maybe she'll be able to go back to Sonny and Martin.
Even if I knew it would turn out like this, I still would have chosen the same path.
Aaron?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm like, Path. Because he kind of changed everything. So, you know, I was like, probably him.
Maybe we were the monsters all along.
Give me a small hint. Tiny one.
No. This is one of those that I remember this from the
Oh,
show
Lord.
too.
Well, I hope
Mhm.
you know that since I read it, it's like, as long as they can fit it into the speech bubble, it doesn't get changed.
Mm-hmm.
But for you, they have to change it to at least match the lips a tad bit so where it's not like continuously talking while their mouth is closed.
Well, out of the round, it's either got to be Armin, Aaron, or somebody else.
Oh yeah, I know that.
So I guess the hint would be who were the two I did before this.
Two you did before this was Gabby and Aaron, right? Armin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just a final verdict here. Any closing thoughts on AOT's legacy or...
I wanted Armin and Annie to be best friends. Well, not best friends. I wanted them to get together. But that didn't happen. Like, even the part when they're on the boat and, like, he's all blushing and then, like, Mikasa's talking to Annie afterwards, nothing happened.
But just with, like, how morally complex the story
It was so
and
hard to
everything.
read. Jujutsu Kaisen, though, reading that was a bit tougher because, like, you know, all the power systems.
Mhm. How do you think this one kind of changed? Well, did it change the way you look at anime in any way? Because I mean,
Not the way I
there's-
look at anime, but
I mean, just
the way I
because
look
like
at the
there's
world.
storylines and they have all these story arcs, but this one was so complex.
it's so complex compared to, like, a lot of, like, the basic anime out there. And there was no fan service in it. So, you know, it's kind of a nice break from Rascal Does Not Dream of a Bunny Girl Senpai and those things, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, the characters with such revealing outfits, you know? It's like, it's nice. I mean, I guess if you count a bunch of naked titans running around. But it's just skin. There's, like, nothing else there.
Mm-hmm. Anatomically correct as a Ken doll.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been going. This has been the longest episode we've had so far.
My neck
But-
hurts.
Yeah, if you have any hot takes or anything you want to share, just reach out to us. Our email is
weebandahalf@gmail.com.
weebandahhalfpodcast@gmail.com.
Ugh! I thought
And-
I had it.
And we have our
Dang it.
Patreon at patreon.com/weebandahhalf. That's the thing. Our Patreon doesn't have podcast, but Gmail does.
Oh. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
difficult.
I mean, you
Oh,
can,
I have my separate email now too, don't I?
yeah,
it's
Dexy at
so fancy.
weebandahhalf. Yeah, we just weebandahhalf.com.
See, you need to stop doing this to me.
Well, that was the thing. For the Gmail account, we couldn't. Weeb and a Half was already taken, so I had to add podcast.
Who took it?
I don't know. If you want to join the Patreon and become a member and get some of those perks and help us put out more shows. And I guess that's all I have for now.
And that's a wrap on today's episode of Weeb and a Half. Thank you for hanging out with us. And remember, whether you're hardcore weeb or just here for fun, we're all family. Catch you next time.
I'm Blake.
And I'm Dexy.
Stay weeby.